Hello friends, Stevie B here. As you know, I've always got an eye out for potential income streams as a music producer, and sharing my progress with music licensing and royalties is a big part of what this channel is all about. But today I want to talk about something a bit different: remote session work. The idea has always intrigued me, and I always thought it would be something that I'd be good at if I just applied myself to it. So I'm going to give it a shot, and I'm going to set up an account on soundbetter.com. Now, if you haven't heard of Soundbetter, well, it's essentially the ultimate hub for music creation. It links musicians worldwide with top-tier professionals such as singers, instrumentalists, producers, and engineers. They feature an extensive array of vetted talent. It's a platform where artists can seamlessly hire experts based on their needs to improve the quality of their productions. Now, I personally have used Soundbetter in the past to hire a vocalist for one of my tracks, and the experience was absolutely awesome. And the results were great. It worked out perfectly. The whole process of hiring someone from the site was so enjoyable, in fact, that it got me thinking, what would it take to set myself up on this marketplace? And beyond that, what would it take to actually thrive there? Well, in order to figure that out, I had to find someone who's got some experience, and not only that, but somebody who's regularly getting hired for gigs. So, good news, I found a guy. It just so happens that one of the members of the Production Music Academy is active on Soundbetter as a guitarist for hire. His name is Dan Udall, and let me tell you, this guy is a bitchin' guitar player. Not really like that though, more on the country side of things. If you need some like Albert Lee style chicken picking on your country tracks, Dan's the man. And not only is Daniel starting to get regular work on Soundbetter, but he's making progress in the licensing world as well, working with exclusive production music libraries like Mediatracks, which is based out of the UK. Now, I first got acquainted with Dan through the Production Music Academy. He joined a while back with the intention of improving his production and mixing chops. And I'm really happy to share his success on this channel because he's living proof that if you apply yourself to something, you can really make things happen, and fast. By the way, if you're new to this channel and you're wondering what this Production Music Academy thing is all about, this is the community platform that I host. It's where I put all of my genre-based production courses. I also have a comprehensive mixing course there as well. And beyond that, it's a community of composers from all over the world. This is a platform where you can network and share ideas with other composers. You can also get feedback from myself and the community. And there is a ton of educational content to dig into, all on one platform. You can learn more at productionmusicacademy.com. I'll put that link in the description below as well. Now, two things are going to happen in this video. First, we're going to have a thorough discussion with Dan about Soundbetter. He's going to give me the complete rundown and all of the insider info that I need. And then I'm going to go set up my own account, and I'll share the results of that with you as well. So this video is probably going to be a bit on the longer side, so I'll make sure to add the chapters. Now, quickly before we get into my chat with Dan, I just want to let you know that he's also on YouTube. You can go follow him at Dan Udall Music, and you should check out one of his recent interviews with one of the sound engineers at Mediatracks. Super informative and interesting video if you're keen to work with music libraries. And not only that, but Dan is making a ton of great content about his experience building a sustainable income through remote session work. So do make sure you go check out his stuff, and I'll put the link to his channel below as well. Alrighty, let's get into it. Dan, it's good to see you, man, and thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. I've got a handful of questions for you because, as you know, I've been curious about getting myself set up to do some remote session work on soundbetter.com, and I thought what better way to get acquainted with the process than to speak with someone like yourself who's got some experience doing this already and has started to make a name for himself on the platform. So my first question before anything is, how are you, and what are you working on currently?
Steve, I'm good, and thank you so much for having me on the channel. I've really enjoyed everything. I've been following your channel as well. Been a really busy time. So August hasn't been too busy on the teaching front, but I've been in the studio with a company called Mediatracks, doing some session work for them and writing my own stuff. They're a sync company who provide music for television, so I've really been enjoying that. Other than that, working a lot on Soundbetter. I've been averaging quite a few jobs each month now, so that's rolling in a little bit more. I did have a job last week, which was quite a nice job. It took me about 2 hours, and that was $142. So not all jobs are like that. There are some jobs that take longer and might not be as much, but that was quite a nice job to have there, you know?
Amazing. And do you find it difficult to incorporate the time, like, because I know you're a busy full-time music teacher?
Yeah, so I'm also teaching guitar quite a lot as well. It can be difficult. It really depends on the size of the job. What I would say to people is, if you do have a busy schedule, be completely honest. One thing that's crucial with working on Soundbetter, or remote sessions in general is the communication. You have to be honest, and people appreciate that.
You've been a teacher for quite a long time. I think you've been teaching professionally for about 15 years or more. What prompted you to, set up your profile on SoundBetter in the first place? And also, I want to know, is this the only session work for hire site that you're currently working with?
Okay, so in terms of other clients away from SoundBetter, I do work remotely with a lot of other clients now that I've built up just through blogging, and I have a new tactic now where what I do is I follow various songwriters and producers. I follow what they're doing and I communicate with them, try and build a bit of a relationship, comment on what they're doing. For example, the other day I commented on someone's song.
Mm-hmm.
I actually sent them a clip of me playing along to it. I said, "This is great, I'm jamming along to this." And they were like, "Well, I've got another album coming out and actually I'd love to have you on board. You're brilliant. Thanks for the support." But at the same time, I wasn't asking for anything, So it's important that you don't just be like, "Oh, hi, I'm a guitarist looking for work. Sign me,"
Yeah, right.
Trying to build a relationship. In terms of what prompted me to do it, it was basically panic through lockdown, really, because as you know, I teach guitar a lot. I was doing various sessions before, but they were in studio. So beforehand, I'd get a chart sent to me and I'd go to a local studio, read the chart, and that was it. I had no experience with a DAW or anything like that. It was only until lockdown I thought, I need to learn this, because some of the producers I was working with before, they were like, "Well, we can still hire you, but you're going to have to learn and send those tracks directly to us because you can't come into the studio." From there, I booked a lesson with a teacher that I studied with back at college, and they were actually an in-person session musician. So rather than working remotely, they had a lot of experience, but they were just getting into SoundBetter and suggested that to me. And I thought, anything I can do to make the income while the students come into my house, basically, because I didn't quite know right at the beginning whether students were going to go online, what was going to happen with my business. So it's quite a stressful time, which actually had a positive turnaround in the end, because now I'm averaging regular work on there.
Yeah, amazing. Thank God for that. That's great. Okay, I have a few questions about like setting up the profile and getting set up. And I've had a chance to look through many of the different profiles, and I've noticed a couple of interesting things when scrolling through different musicians and session players on the site. First of all, every successful account, and when I say successful, I mean folks that have had quite a few jobs completed and a lot of positive reviews. One thing that they have in common is obviously a really strong demo track, and including your own, by the way. Your demo track is fantastic.
Thanks.
Probably an obvious question, but like, would you say that the demo track is the single most important aspect when clients are deciding whether or not to work with you, or do you think it's the amount of reviews and credits listed on your profile, or is it kind of a mixture of all of the above?
That's a really good question, Steve. I wouldn't say it's the single most important factor. However, one thing I do think that really contributes to getting work is having a niche.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, my first gig on there was a country gig. And that same client then gave me more and more work because they said they were struggling to find country players that played specifically the style of country they were looking for, which was like chicken picking,
right,
Brent Mason, Albert Lee sort of thing. So I think it's really important to have a niche. I was always at the beginning comparing myself to other people on there, because there's people on there with really high-end profiles, and I almost gave up at the beginning. I was like, I'm nowhere near experienced enough to do this. And I thought we've got to start somewhere, and then you don't have to be perfect to start. You just have to start, right? And use what you have to your advantage. So I knew that country was a strong style of mine, and the particular style of country I like is where the jazz element is blended in as well. So I think if you can get a niche going there, it's really great to do that. And also a niche in the service you offer, other than the music, can be going that extra mile for clients. For example, I always offer at the beginning, when I'm approached for a gig on there, I might say, "Do you want a no obligatory Zoom session, just 5 minutes to chat your requirements and things like that, just to ensure you're delivering exactly what they want." As much as that seems a bit time consuming, it can actually save time and save you a lot of revisions. It means that you're going to get that accurate, and that may even lead to more repeat sessions then.
Totally makes sense. So going that extra mile for the client and, ensuring that they're going to come back again?
In terms of the reviews, Steve, that's a good question as well. The verified reviews, I can't say it's certainly made a difference, but I do believe it's made a difference. Since I have had more reviews, I don't know if it's because a few of the clients on there I've worked with have naturally recommended me to other people, so that helps as well. But I have had newcomers, and the reviews can help, I think. The verified reviews, what also helps, by the way, establish trust. If you ever need parts in your songs or for your own projects, actually hiring people through SoundBetter. So hiring another guitarist or a drummer that you might need, and then what happens, they leave you a review as a client, which is still verified.
Yeah. Can you explain the difference between the verified and unverified review? That's one of the questions I had for you, because that wasn't exactly clear to me. Like a verified review is only for jobs completed on the platform itself. But you could also have outside reviews as well. So unverified reviews, is that how it works?
That's right. So Joe Blogs can come and give you a review,
right.
And it doesn't matter whether they have a SoundBetter account or not. I don't believe you need a SoundBetter account, because right at the beginning, there was people that I'd gigged with and played sessions with in the studio who left me a review, and that they'd previously worked with me just to help boost it a little bit. And when I got that first gig through SoundBetter, and that same client, by the way, 2 years ago, I'm still working with them now, and they left me a verified review. And then what happened then, the guy mixing his track wrote to me. He's on SoundBetter as well. He was like, I really liked your playing. I have another country artist who's come in that really wants you to play on their track. So then he gave me a verified review. And then I actually hired someone he knew who gave me a review. I gave them a review, and then they recommended me to someone else. It's a really strange cycle. It's just basically recommendations, word of mouth. The reviews do help as well, having a niche, going the extra mile, the communication, and just building trust,
Right. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Coming back to your demo track, this is one thing I noticed about a few different profiles that I took a look at. I noticed that most profiles have one demo track, and a lot of them are like sampler demo tracks. So they'll just be like short clips of many different songs that they played on throughout one track. I'm curious, about a few things. Like, did you struggle to choose a demo track that best represents what you're all about? And why did you not go for like the sampler track thing? And furthermore, what's the deal with some profiles having multiple demo tracks and most profiles just having one?
Yeah, good question. So the idea with that, the basic SoundBetter profile that you'll initially set up for, that'll be one that isn't a premium membership. And then there's the premium membership where you can upload as many tracks as you want. I do believe that you can upload multiple tracks, even videos, I think, onto a premium membership.
Okay.
So with the one that isn't premium, the standard one, initially I did have just a sample of different styles all on one track.
Mm-hmm.
But then I did think it was more professional to have the client who'd hired me through SoundBetter. And then what I did is I uploaded a little blog entry, because you can upload blog entries onto your own SoundBetter profile to let people know what you're doing. And then I found that was a professional way just to get in there a little bit more and show that I'm actually working with people within that organization,
Right. So my understanding is that you have to apply for a premium profile on SoundBetter. It's not something you can just pay for. And I'm wondering, like, have you done this yourself? And, what benefits would you get if you were selected for a premium profile?
Funnily enough, Steve, I've literally just applied again for a premium membership. Initially, I applied within, I think it was 6 to 12 months. I applied the first time and I got rejected.
Really?
Told me to write back when I had a few more reviews, actually, a few more verified reviews. And sometimes they're selective on what they actually need at the time. So, for example, they might have loads of guitarists, but they may need more mix engineers or whatever it is. So
okay.
I then got rejected. However, recently I was getting, as I said, August has been a bit quiet, but the last few months just been regularity. I've been getting regular jobs over the course of a few months, and that's took off all of a sudden. And Alan, the main coordinator there, actually emailed me again. He emailed me saying, how's it going? Have you got any update? What have you been up to? So I told him, I've been working with various clients through the SoundBetter organization. Here they are. Here are the tracks that I've done. I'm also signing a sync deal shortly. And he said, definitely apply again. So I've just applied again. I'm definitely going to keep everyone updated as well on how I get on with the premium membership.
That'd be fantastic if
Yeah.
they gave you that. And I noticed that, even searching electric guitarists like on the site, you came up quite early in the search for the algorithm.
Yeah.
So that's great. But I hope that that comes around for you soon, because you deserve it 100%. So
Well, thanks so much, Steve.
how do you
Thank
decide on pricing, man? That's a big question I have, and I noticed that the prices that they seem to vary quite a bit from
Yeah.
depending on the instrument for hire or the service for hire, and the profile itself. Some people have like hundreds of reviews, and they're charging quite a bit. Others are probably getting started. Their prices are a bit more competitive. Did you take other profiles into account when setting your own pricing?
I did, yeah. So right at the beginning, in fact, my very, very first job, a guy called Frank, he's such a great songwriter, and he messaged me requesting that I played a country guitar part over one of his tracks.
Mm-hmm.
I quoted that job for $40 because I was like, well, there's all of these other people on here. I've got no verified reviews. I need the money as well at the time, and I need to boost the profile. And what actually happened, he sent me the track. I played over that track, and he sent me an email back saying, there's no way I'm paying you $40 for this. I want to at least give you another $80.
Awesome.
And you need to bring your price up. And I really appreciated that. And that boosted my confidence. And then from then onwards, I normally start off at around the 150 mark. And depending on the size of the job, so the last one, I came down to around 140, just because it was such a small job. And I thought that was fair because it would only take me a couple of hours.
Mm-hmm.
So it really depends. At the very beginning, if you can afford to charge a bit lower, fine, but don't sell yourself short. It's easy to sell yourself short,
Yes.
So it's a tough decision to make, especially right at the beginning. But I do think just believe in yourself, believe in your capabilities. Otherwise, you wouldn't be applying to do it,
Yeah, well, I 100% agree. I think it's one of those things where if you charge too little, then people don't believe that the service that they're getting is going to be quality in the first place. So the prices have to represent your skill.
Yeah.
So
because if you're competing on price, it's just a race to the bottom,
right. Exactly.
There's various other sites that I've looked at where it's people are literally advertising sessions on there for $25. And,
right.
It's just I like Sound, but the thing I like about Soundbetter is they only take a 5% commission. I think it's 5%, which I think is really fair. And once the job's funded, they don't release the money until the job's been completed, which I like on the client side as well. I think that's fair to the client. One thing I'd like to add in, Steve, as well, talking about that with the commission, there's been clients before who have said, actually, can we go directly? And I've turned it down, which might seem daft, but it's about establishing trust, because if you do go through Soundbetter, then you get a verified review. It develops your authority even more, So I try to keep my private clients separate. So I do have private clients that I do session work for, but where I can with the Soundbetter organization, I think it's good just to go directly through them.
That's a really interesting point. I'm glad you brought that up, because I actually hired a vocalist from Soundbetter last year for a track, and the experience was awesome. But I wanted to hire her again, and I was thinking of approaching her and just being like, "Hey, would you want to take this exchange off the platform so that you're not getting any fees deducted?" I never got around to doing that, but I'm sure she probably would have had the same response, knowing that every review you get on the site counts for something. And ultimately is going to lead to more work.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it might be a different thing, for example, if it's completely separate to Soundbetter and they've emailed you directly. But if it's through Soundbetter initially, I just try and keep it within the platform, really.
Cool. So take me through the process of dealing with a new client on Soundbetter. Like, do the projects typically vary quite a bit in terms of style and what's being asked of you? Is every experience just like, something totally different, or is there some regularity in the way things go, or is every project like a surprise?
Yeah, I've only ever had one bad experience, but I just did that one job and that was it. And that was just someone that was really just wanted many, many revisions, but I don't think they knew what they want. So what I would say, just make sure right at the beginning, the client knows exactly what they want. And that's why it's worth even just 5 minutes of your time, go onto Zoom, a quick video call. What is it you want here? Where am I playing? Even demonstrate a little bit if you can. Just say, how does this sort of thing come across? But the first thing I do, the typical thing I do initially, if someone sends me a project, it's usually similar because
Mm-hmm.
the styles that I've presented on there are country and jazz mixed with country. So I'm always specific about what I offer. So they're never massively different.
Right.
But the first thing I do is always compliment the track, always. So if you have someone send you that, just thank them straight away, compliment what they're doing, ask more information as to what they're doing with their music and their career and everything else, because it shows that you're interested. Yeah, I always offer that no obligatory chat at the beginning. And what I say as well is that I'll send them the mono file with no effects, but I'll also add in effects that I believe are suitable to the song. And then they have both the dry track and the one that I feel is suitable as well. So they have that choice without giving them as much choice as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And always, I know this might sound really obvious to a lot of people, but at the beginning, it isn't unless you know. Always make sure you're bouncing in the right format.
Right.
I did actually at the beginning, again, I had no experience with DAWs and stuff. I bounced over a stereo file instead of a mono. It's an easy mistake to make if you don't know what you're doing. So just be mindful of that.
Yeah. So communication with the client is obviously key. I love that you do like a Zoom chat with them beforehand. Another question I have is, do you or would you take a percentage of a client's songwriting share to collect on any potential royalties if you're being asked to compose something specific for the track, or is everything you do just kind of a work for hire buyout?
Okay, up to now, I haven't registered any of my works on sessions. I've only done that through PRS with the sync stuff that I'm doing at the moment. However, I will be in the near future because a few of the clients have asked if I want to co-write various songs, and they're also in the music licensing game as well.
Right.
They're quite specific usually. A lot of the clients I've had have also sent me charts as to what they want played. And even though I might embellish that slightly, it's more or less their own part. One thing to bear in mind is that line, in the style of, just to be really specific. They say they want something in the style of, make sure that you put restrictions in place, not to fly off and do what you feel sounds good. It's always about the client, yeah? Going off topic there slightly. But so the answer to that is no, I haven't, but I will in the near future. If it is a completely original part, I don't see why you can't register your works in that way.
Yeah. For someone who's just kind of starting out on the platform, I think the big challenge is getting the ball rolling on your profile. I'm sure there's a lot of SoundBetter accounts that haven't had a single job finish, and they're wondering how do I get this started? And from what I understand, SoundBetter's search results work on an algorithm that kind of takes a lot of different factors into account, such as how active you are on the site, how recently you've completed a job, how many jobs you've completed in the last month, and your number of verified reviews, of course. So taking all those things into consideration, how would you kind of recommend promoting your SoundBetter profile outside of the platform itself? Whether it be on your YouTube or on your website, how do you approach that problem? How did you kind of get things started initially, and what advice would you have for anyone who's just going to get started on the platform?
Well, my biggest advice there would be to collaborate with other composers and producers as much as possible. Right at the beginning, for example, I even offered sample packs and offered my services for free to some producers, because the way I see it, it isn't free, because it's going to generate income, return on investment. It kind of, you have to establish that trust and establish your authority. So if you know someone that's a producer or a composer, that you can write to them and say, hey, look, can I offer you any of my services? I'm just looking up to build my profile here. In exchange, if you wouldn't mind leaving a review, or even go as far as saying, if you can spare a little bit of money after that first job, if you want to hire me again, I can do you a good deal. So maybe you might offer them something free at the beginning. They'll hire you for a cheaper rate. And if they do that through SoundBetter, you can then get a verified review. Then what I'd suggest is that you blog that experience on the SoundBetter profile. So you put an entry, they have their own entry system where you can update what you've been doing. And in that way, if you repeat that process a few times, I don't think it will be that long before you get a job. It took me a couple of months, if I'm honest. It took me think it was 2 months before I got my first job on there.
I understand. So the first free session isn't through Soundbetter. This is just something that you're doing outside of the platform, and then you're kind of saying next time, bring me, let's do it through Soundbetter. I got you. Okay, cool. One last question I had for you is, can you just tell me a little bit about your studio setup at home? What would someone kind of need to get started? And, do you need to go and buy a lot of fancy gear? Like, what do you have? What are you using?
I'm really sorry to disappoint all of the gearheads out there, but it's super simple. It's the Focusrite 2i2 interface. I've got pre-Sonus monitors, which aren't that much at all. I have recently invested in a Neumann TLM 102.
Okay.
Really nice. And then I have the SM57. The plugins actually are what I use more often than not, because when you're recording from home, to get that sweet spot, the -18, I know that varies a lot, but to get that sweet spot where you peak and it's actually producing a healthy waveform, then it's difficult. And you can get some really good sounds through simulators. Now, I'm really sorry if that offends people, but
No.
For example, CLA guitars by Waves are fantastic. Really, really clean sound. You don't need a Kemper to get started. I had loads of people saying, go out and spend £1,000 on a Kemper. Rubbish. You don't need to do that. It'd be great if we can all do that. But starting out, you want to use what you've got to your advantage, or whatever you can. So you can do this on a budget. Usually, if I am recording with mics, I usually experiment with the mics a little bit. So I'll try and have one mic on the center the cone, and with, say, like the Neumann on the center of the cone, and then maybe have the SM57 on the edge, or have it near the 12th fret if it's an acoustic guitar. But just experimenting with mic placement slightly, and then it's just Logic. Actually, for my country sessions, I've even used some of Logic's amps, and the classic country sound that you can get on there.
I love the country. I love the Logic amps. Big fan.
Yeah, really good. And I've actually gone through. I have a Dynacomp compressor pedal. Sometimes I go through that, then into the interface, and then use the preset that I have on Logic.
Dan, you've been a wealth of information for me, man. I feel so much more confident about setting up a profile. I guess, as an overall sort of in conclusion, I'm feeling like what I've really taken away from this conversation is that it's important to sort of niche down on your profile. I think that, like, it's probably fair to say that if you offer like a bunch of very different services, that's not going to be as appealing as someone who is offering a very specific service. What I'm also getting from you is that it's really important to communicate with the client and figure out exactly what they're looking for. And a Zoom session is awesome. I would be so stoked if I was hiring you and you offered a Zoom chat to like talk through what it was that I needed. And beyond that, to sort of hustle outside of the platform, get the ball rolling with offering, your services for free in exchange for maybe future services through the platform. This is amazing, man. I feel great.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to add in as well, that the myth that I was always told was, oh, you have to know every single style to be an effective session musician or be good at multiple things, which obviously that can help. But being a jack of all trades, master of none, it's not that great when if you have a couple of niche styles, that's more effective. The other thing I would say in terms of communication is actually check in with the clients later on if you haven't heard from them for a couple of months, but just to see how their project's going. I'm really excited. I was excited about your project. I just wondered how you're doing with your career and things like that. If you need any more help, please let me know.
Amazing.
So it's another thing to throw out there.
Dan, I appreciate this so much. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge about this.
Thanks for having me, man. It's been a joy, man. And thank you for everything as well with the Production Music Academy.
Yeah, my pleasure. So as promised, I did my best to apply everything that I learned from my chat with Dan when setting up my own Soundbetter profile. Let's take a look. All right, so let's click into this. Here is my profile in all its glory. First of all, picture. I think for Soundbetter, maybe something, where I'm smiling or that feels a bit more approachable would be cool, but that's all I've got for now. There is a limit to how many characters you can use in the bio, so I had to kind of pack in a lot of information here. As for my demo track, I'm not going to play it, but basically I packed in 5 different clips into a single track that kind of showcase a variety of things that I do. A lot of it is kind of like cinematic, features some like string arrangements, but it's a variety. Each clip is a bit different. As for the jobs that I've marked that I'm available to do, I don't know if I'm going to keep all of these. I might tweak this bit, but film composer, of course, is number 1. And then on the bottom, we got a top line writer. I don't know. It feels like a lot. I think maybe just the top 3 or 4 would probably suffice. If you scroll down further, you can list the genres that you primarily work in, what your stuff kind of sounds like. I added Oliver Arnold's Massive Attack and Tony Anderson. Again, maybe some tweaking on that, but that was a good start. Got some gear listed below that. And then you'll notice that over here, there's a review from Meredith Nee, and she's actually the vocalist that I hired a while back to help me out with the track. And like Daniel was mentioning, this is what I love about Soundbetter, is that if you hire somebody through Soundbetter, even if you're a provider like I am now, the person that you hire can leave a verified review on your account and, vice versa. So like I said, Meredith is someone that I hired a while back, but she reviewed the experience of working with me, and that counts towards a verified review on my account as a seller. So it's an incentive really for me to use Soundbetter more so that I can keep stacking up those verified reviews on my account. Now, one thing I didn't realize about the premium accounts, not only do you have to apply to get a premium account, but you have to pay for it too, which is $100 a month, which, that's a lot. I think the main benefit of having a premium account is that you get access to the job board. So you can pitch your services to clients that are posting up jobs on that board. And it goes without saying that, you'd have to be bringing in a few clients probably every month in order for the premium to be worth it. So I'm thinking it's probably going to take a while before I get to the point where I'm bringing in clients regularly, making more than $100 US a month on the site. I mean, I got a lot of work cut out for me, that's for sure. But I'm going to take into account everything Dan said and implement it as best I can. Try to make regular blog posts. I'll try to be more active on Soundbetter as a user, and I'll try to get outside clients to hire me through Soundbetter in order to start stacking up those verified reviews. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you got value from this video, make sure to hit that like button for me. Leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you, and subscribe to the channel. Stay in touch. In the meantime, if you need to hire a music producer, now you know where to look me up online. I'll leave a link to my profile below as well, and you know what? Go check it out and let me know what you think. If you have any advice about how I can make it better or improve it in any way, I'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, wishing you all well, happy composing, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.